Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about my thoughts on the Goosebumps reboot coming on Disney Plus. I actually have known about this for a long time, like many other people, but I just didn't feel like talking about it at first, and but then I forgot completely about the entire thing because there's been no news really about it. And so but then I remember because there's a actress I follow on Instagram and she's been cast in the show. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Disney Plus is supposed to reboot the Goosebumps thing. I completely forgot because they don't talk about it like at all. So my thoughts on it. Anyways, I love Goosebumps. I'm a Goosebumper for life. I made a rundown review of the original series back in the day. I've covered a few of the shows. I need to do the rest because I really love Goosebumps. And because I grew up with it. I first started reading the books when I was in middle school. They were like very popular. Then Fox Kids came out with the series, and it was very cheesy sometimes because it was in the 90s. But sometimes there were some really creepy, spooky, and sometimes even scary episodes. And there was a couple of watered down episodes, because they didn't want to scare the kids too badly. And once they started doing that, then they started like slowing down, but then they started amping it up. And then so it was like a hodgepodge of actual scary, spooky, and cheesy, corny and stuff. Of course, they were written by R.L. Stine. And the show was the highlight of the day of the Saban era on Fox Kids. People loved Goosebumps so much. They still watch it to this day around Halloween time. They made 2 theatrical movies that had nothing to do really with the actual books, but were more like a Jumanji of Goosebumps. The first movie did very well. I was surprised at how good it was. I still have not seen the second. And so when I heard Netflix made the Fear Street off of R.L. Stine, they were amazing. I talked about that. Go watch that. But not every adaptation of R.L. Stine stuff turns out good. The Nightmare Room I particularly didn't like. I love The Haunting Hour until it got to halfway into season 2, all the way towards the end. It just fell flat for me. Something Beyond, that show came out on Disney Plus, I don't like. I've talked about that. And so, Eye Candy on MTV was not particularly good. A lot of the direct-to-DVD movies of R.L. Stine that they created, like Ghostly Mostly and all this other crap, I just could not get into those. They were too teeny bopper for me. I don't like that because it's weird because I can get past the cheesiness a little bit of the 90s show, but the 90s show was not terrible. They at least still kept it creepy. But as for the direct to DVD movies that you can find on streaming sites, they just made them into teeny bopper, almost Disney Channel type movies, and I just can't get with that. And now that brings me here. If it would have been on Netflix, I would have been fine. But the fact that it's on Disney Plus, I'm worried because of all the Disney Marvel baby humor that they throw in. However, there are times they can get edgy. Werewolf by Night proved that they can do horror, but they still pull back on it. And that's my concern. I don't want them to pull back on it because when it comes to Goosebumps, even though the books have been out for decades, they rebranded the books, changed stuff around. He keeps going back to the well of the haunted mask and keeps changing stuff, and same thing with the living dummy. So a new audience is exposed to Goosebumps. So it doesn't really matter the age range because people from kids to teens to adults to older adults, they love Goosebumps. My only concern is I'm afraid they're gonna add too much I'm not even so much concerned they're gonna add too much humor. My only real concern is that it's not gonna be scary. When they put it on Netflix, it was pure horrifyingly scary. Yeah, they added humor and it kind of took you out of it, but it was still scary. I have never really truly seen like horror movies for kids the way I saw Fear Street on Netflix, especially with the axe scene in the second movie when they kept stabbing the girl with the axe. My God, you could feel that through the screen. I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was awesome. And I'm afraid Disney is not going to do that. They will try to fright you and everything, but they're not going to go fully there. And that's my concern, is that I'm afraid they're gonna pull too many, they're not gonna pull too many punches, and they're gonna pull on that chain because they're too afraid of scaring little kids. Now, they do have an R.L. Stein show on their platform. I forget what it's called, but it has the word Beyond in it. And for the most part, that series is all right, but I'm disappointed in it. See, it reminds me of all this new kids like horror stuff, or teen horror stuff, I should say. Same thing with a show on Netflix called Creeped Out. R.L. Stein did not make that. And my problem with Creeped Out, the same problem I have with The Haunting Hour, and the same problem I have with this Beyond show, is that they will start off really, really good to where you're feeling it. You're like, yeah, where is this gonna go? This is awesome. But then towards the end, it falls flat. The payoff does not like make you happy, and stuff like that. And it's just like, all that build up and no good payoff. And it's just disappointing. Not only that, but they add moral lessons now. Nobody wants to hear a moral lesson when you want to be scared or freaked out or creeped out or whatever. You just want to be creeped out. Like, you don't want to hear, no, don't do that now. It's all because of this. And if you would have done that in the past and blah, 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 blah. You don't want to hear that crap. And they're doing this a lot with teen horror. And it's getting on my nerves. If they would have left that out of that Beyond show, I would have been fine, you know what I'm saying? And they would have just kept to the creepiness and the horror and a good payoff towards the end, I would have been fine. But that's why I have mixed feelings about that Beyond show. And, apparently it didn't do well. It never got a second season. And, they filmed during like the pandemic, so that's not no excuse. And it's just like people just wasn't feeling that show, you know what I'm saying? If it would have done really excellent, they would have came out with a sequel, a season 2, and they never did. And most people don't even know of that show and forgot about that show. Another thing I just read about this Disney Plus reboot, they're taking inspiration from Are You Afraid of the Dark? The new reboot does not focus on none of the books. It's similar to that of the movie. What they're going to do, they're going to take 5 high school kids. It's going to be 10 episodes. And basically the books come alive and they have to fix stuff. So it's very similar to the movie. I don't know how I feel about that. Because the thing about Goosebumps is that the books, there are so many books and they are amazing. They are literally amazing. And it's like, you can literally make an entire movie based off of every episode, every book, or you can literally make every episode based on every book, like they did in the 90s. Why not just follow that formula? Now, I don't know how the new formula for Are You Afraid of the Dark is working, but they've had 3 seasons of the new revival and everything. So I don't know how the older fans feel about it, because I never really read the comments. I just see like the younger comments and stuff. But I think some older fans do like it. But I don't know exactly to what extent. So I'm just a little worried that like if they do the movie format, it's not gonna work, because it's 10 episodes, a story arc, no episodic type stuff. And and I just feel like it robs the richness of the books, because the books are so amazing. Now, it would be neat if every episode will follow a book and then they have to fix that book and then get out of it or something like that. But I don't think they're doing that. It's more like the movie. And why do I want to see 10 episodes of what the movie format was, Like, I don't. You could just see that in the movie format. If you stretch it out for 10 episodes, which are probably going to be 20 minutes or so, that's going to be lame, you know? But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.